What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the shop. Now if I look and sound like I have a cold, it's because I do. So if this video gets a little bit sniffly, forgive me. I've added a new piece of machinery to the shop. It is a table saw. Now I blew the entire budget on the shop itself, so all my tools from now on will have to be second hand. This one is a pretty cool table saw. It's a bit rough and ready, so it needs a bit of work, but I got it for a reasonable price. It is a Kity 1619. It has a sliding crosscut table on it, and it has an outfeed table and tables to the left and right, so it comes pretty well kitted out. Like I say, it is a bit rough and ready. It needs some work, so it's going to be a project now over the next little while, which I'll keep you updated on, see how I'm going. So what I'll do, I've just got it into the shop now, and I'm just cleaning it up and putting it together. Like I say, it's a bit rough and ready, so I'll fully assemble it and I'll take you through this saw. I'll show you what needs to be done on it and some of the parts I have to order. Now, Kity were a French manufacturer, and they made some pretty good woodworking machinery, but they went out of business in the mid-2000s, I think. Now, Scheppach or however you pronounce that name, bought them out and bought up all the equipment. And this machine is essentially the Scheppach Precisa, I don't even know how to pronounce it, number 3, which is a pretty decent machine. So all the parts from that should fit this if I need them, which is handy. But yeah, enough of me talking now. Let me assemble this machine and I'll take you through it. Let's do that. Right guys, there we go. That's the table saw fully assembled. Just to give you a quick overview from a distance so you can see it all in the frame there. You can take it in. Like I say, it has an outfeed table, it has side tables which are adjustable out further, and it has a cross-cut sled. Now the sled's a little bit rough. Again, it's probably going to need bearings and stuff like that, but it has outriggers again that are fully adjustable. We can go right on out here. You probably can't see that now, it's out of shot, but I'll get you in for a closer look in a second. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's on a carriage, it's on wheels, it rolls fairly nicely, so it's pretty easy to move this around the shop. It's a 2.5 horsepower motor, 1800 watts, so it's plenty big, size-wise and power-wise for my needs. It has everything I could need or want, and it just needs to be tidied up and tuned up. So let me get you in for a closer look on top of this now, and I'll show you the features of it. It's a pretty cool saw. Right guys, just a quick look at the deck and the fence on this and the blade and stuff and the insert. This is where all the business happens. It needs a little bit of work. It's a little bit scratched up. It's not too deep, just a small bit of sanding and polishing should bring that up nicely. The insert itself, I will be making a zero clearance insert for it, but it has been hit by the saw blade. It's a little bit damaged, so it might be handy if I can find a replacement one of those. That one's a little bit rough. The saw blade itself, it's the gullets are fairly big on it, so it looks like it's a ripsaw blade. It's fairly worn. There's a lot of heat marks on the side of it, so it looks like it got caught up in some material there at one stage. Again, that's going to be gone straight away. I'll have a couple of saw blades on the way for this. The fence is actually pretty nice, although again, a little bit on the rough side, needs a bit of work. Let's get it over there. It's missing just a little kind of a butterfly handle here, which you use to clamp the back. It's clamped front and back. It also has micro adjustments on it, so you lock it down here, and each one of these is a millimeter. Each one of these numbers, I don't know if you can see it now, but it's a mil, so you can actually move it in 0.5 millimeter adjustments, micro adjustments on the fence, which is really nice. The fence itself, you can slide this part out, so you don't have to clamp a stop block to it if you're doing cross cuts. You shouldn't, you probably know this already yourselves, but you shouldn't cross cut using or butted up to your fence on a table saw, because when you get down here, the bit can kick a bit and it can wedge between the fence and the back of the blade, and it can fire that piece back at you. They call it kickback, and it's quite dangerous. It comes back at a rate of knots, and you know, it can bust your nose, you can lose an eye or worse. But the nice thing about this is you can slide the fence back out of the way. You can, you know, if you're cutting a bunch of pieces, you can just butt them straight to the fence here and slide them on through, as the fence is now back here, and you have this depth between this part of the fence and the back of the blade, so you're pretty safe. You can also pull it out completely. If I can, yeah, here we go. and we can slide it around. A bit of faffing about here now, but bear with me. There we go. Just if we're using thinner material, like plywood or MDF boards or whatever, if once there's two measurements on the rule here. Once you set up the fence this way, you start from this measurement. It's top measurement rather than the bottom measurement. You probably can't see it on the camera, but I'll go through all this at a later date as soon as the saw is fully set up. This is just a quick rundown. So yeah, the fence is not too bad. There's not too much work to be done with it there. It's basically just the top, a new saw blade, that should sort that. The outfeed tables, I need to just adjust the rigging arms. It's a bit loose. I need to get that so it's perfectly straight across. So yeah, that's that much. I'll show you the cross cut slide now. This needs a bit of work. Right, onto the cross cut sled. This is going to need a little bit of work. The fence on it is probably the roughest part of the saw itself, but again, I can get replacement parts of these, so if I can't tidy this up, I will be able to replace it. So, you know, I didn't pay a whole lot of money for this saw, so I don't mind putting a bit of work into it if I get a good saw out of it. Again, it's second hand. All the budget went on the shop, so you know, you make do. But it's nice and handy. It's actually a miter fence as well. As you can see along here, you have all your degrees, so we can go from 15 degrees to 30 degrees, up to 45 degrees if we need it. We can clamp it down there, then, and we can put cuts on large sheets, angle cuts on large sheets, which is handy. These outriggers again are adjustable. They'll go out further. It'll go further out this way. We have a sliding rule that goes out another meter if we need it. It's a little bit, as you can hear, it's not very smooth. It's a little bit rough. If I clamp everything down, it's not as noisy, but no, it still is as noisy. So I'm going to have to look at the bearings and the rollers just to see if I can tighten that up, grease them up, see if that makes any difference. If not, it's easy to get new bearings. Bearings are cheap enough and they're standard parts. So that's pretty much it. What I'll do now is we'll go into handheld mode and I'll take you around the saw and I'll show you another few bits. Right, we're in handheld mode now, so if you get motion sick, just hang on to your seats. This won't take too long. Standard start stop here, height adjustment for the blade. It's actually pretty smooth, works fairly well. Here's another thing that has to be fixed. That's the handle for the angle adjustment on the blade. Again, I need to do something with that. At the minute, it only works really with a spanner. Height adjustment gauge is here, or sorry, that's the angle, and here's our height denoted here. So that seems to be pretty accurate so far. So I've tested. These are the outriggers for the side tables. I need to adjust these back to push this up, just so I get that perfect straight edge across there. Again, just a motor there, 2.5 horsepower or 1800 watts. It's pretty powerful. It's actually fairly smooth and it's braked as well, which I'll show you in a minute. There's the carriage underneath with the casters. They're very smooth. This is a nice easy saw to move around, which is handy. That's our outfeed table. Our outfeed table is actually pretty solid, so there's nothing to be done with that. There's our carriage system. Again, you probably won't be able to see too much underneath there, but I have to replace the bearings and stuff. It's a little bit rough. So what we'll do now is I'll run the motor. I'll give you a look at the saw blade and we'll run the motor and you can hear for yourselves, and that's about it. Right, just before we power up, I'm just going to show you these little bevel boxes. These are a handy little bit of kit just for working on anything in your woodworking shop, just to get the angle off. So if you're setting up your bandsaw or you're setting up your table saw, they're quite handy. So I can just put that on the deck there. I can hit 0, not the off button, the 0 button. So now we're at 0 degrees. I don't know if you can see that, maybe you can. And then we just put that on the side of our saw blade and see what we're reading. So 89.8 degrees, that's actually not too bad. 89.7, 89.5. So there's a little bit of adjustment. That's saying it's exactly 90 degrees now at the minute. So yeah, so it's 89.4. So a little bit of tweaking there, just the smallest amount. But these are a handy little thing just for getting the angle of your saw blade in relation to your bed, and it's done in 10 seconds. So just a little tip for you guys. Now we'll plug it in and run it. Right, we're plugged in and powered up. I'm just going to give the motor a quick run just so we can hear it. It's actually pretty smooth and not too loud, so there's nothing to be done here, thank God. So no weird noises, sounds pretty good and pretty smooth. It's not too loud, which is nice. And comes to a pretty quick stop. So for a 10-year-old machine, that's not too bad. It's actually probably more older. It's probably a 12 or 13-year-old machine, but the motor sounds pretty good. So again, it's just general tidying up, making sure we get everything square and plumb, and sorting out this deck, maybe getting a new fence for the sliding cross-cut sled, and some new bearings. We'll see. I'll keep you updated on this as we go along, and hopefully we have a pretty nice saw by the end of it. So it's going to be an interesting little project. Right guys, there we go. That's my new table saw, the Kity 1619. Well, it's not a new table saw, it's new to this shop, and it's the first bit of machinery I've added to my new shop, so I'm quite excited by it. Hopefully I haven't bought a lemon and this thing can be put back to an accurate saw. I think it can. Like I say, I can get the parts for it, so you know, hopefully I don't have to buy too many parts, because I don't want to spend a fortune on it. It didn't cost me a fortune, and a table saw is the centerpiece of every good woodworking shop. So hopefully I can turn this into a really nice table saw. I think I can. So let me know in the comments, do you want to see more of this table saw? I have a lot of work to do on it, and I can do a video series on it, or just a couple of videos on it, if you want to see how this thing gets put back together and how it's functioning by the end of it. If that's something that interests you, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll do some more videos on it. But for now, I'm going to get back to this thing and start setting it up. I'm going to run a few pieces through it just to see how it's cutting and stuff, and then I'm going to take it all apart, every single nut and bolt, and go through it bit by bit and see if, yeah, hopefully we have a good saw at the end of it. So thanks for watching guys. If this content is interesting to you, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And to any of the new subscribers, welcome along. There'll be more of this kind of nonsense. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one.